correctly with the correct amount.
D20 Radio, where gamers roll.
www.d20radio.com.
Welcome to Me and Steve Talk RPGs, a podcast where me and my friend Steve,
we're playing games this time.
Hey folks, welcome to Me and Steve, and this week we're playing games. Got a little Exalted adventure here run for you, actually by one of the members of our Discord server. So I'd like to thank Deck for coming to run this game for us, as well as Olaskos and KDB for playing. And you want to check the show notes. There's some stuff that some of them do. There'll be links for that in the notes. But with that, here's a little Exalted for y'all to check out.
All right. Does anybody else have anything else they need to bring up, ask questions, whatever, before we get going?
Before we get started, general rules of the podcast. It's your show. Let me know. I don't want to step on any toes or anything we're not supposed to do here.
Okay. Basically, we don't tag as explicit, so try and keep particularly the F word to a minimum.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm going to go through and edit it so I can tone it out, edit it out, whatever. Just, if you go full Andrew Dice Clay or Eddie Murphy.
All right. Got it.
That's my only real, like I said, I'm going to go through and take out, like ums and dead air and stuff like that before we would put it out. But other than that, we're not, and I think, I've had this conversation with a couple people. Our goal with our APs is not to put out a produced audio drama type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Our goal is much more to put out, here's what this might actually sound like if you played it with your friends.
Okay, got it.
Cool.
So thus, no, we're not going to be Critical Role or, the Glass Cannon or whoever. Mm-hmm. We're not trying to be.
Got it.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to run a game under those circumstances. No, anyway, because there'd be too much pressure for me.
And what does everybody go by on the stream? Obviously, Steve, I got. What's the names for everyone?
I will answer to Deck, Decurion, or John.
Okay.
Also John.
Probably go with Decurion because I see it there in front of me and it's cool.
I go Deck because I was never quite sure how to pronounce it. You may have heard me mention you in a show or two.
Yes.
I'm just going to call him Deck because that's what I remember.
It works. Yeah, no, I totally am cool with that.
And I assume it's not Resident Loudmouth. Is it Olaskos, or do you have another thing?
I'll go by Olaskos or Mike. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Olaskos or Mike. Got it. All right.
I'm used to being able to just point at him across the table and go, you.
Right?
And everybody he, him, I'm assuming? Or
I certainly am.
Yeah, for me, yes.
Okay, cool. Same here.
All right. Cool. So we're going to start this. All three of you are slowly waking up. The last few weeks have been surreal. You haven't been getting much sleep because every night there are dreams of being imprisoned. You've seen flashes of faces. You've been called in a certain direction. And even if you tried to ignore them, eventually you had to follow these dreams. You also felt like there was some sort of prize or treasure or gift at the destination. You each traveled by yourselves to a town. Well, calling it a one-horse town would be a little bit generous. One sickly donkey town. Certainly 3 strangers arriving, all of you obviously foreigners, is probably the most exciting thing that's happened in this town in a generation. They don't exactly have an inn, but somebody did offer a very nice stable for the three of you. And you discovered that each of you were having very similar dreams and that you seemed somehow familiar to each other. Fortunately, the locals did know what cave you were describing when you described the cave that your dreams have been calling you to, and it was an easy day's journey away. And that's really the last thing you remember. Right now, you're lying down. There's rain falling on you. You're on an irregular surface that seems a little uncomfortable, and you can hear thunder and smell the sea, which is bizarre because you are at least 300 miles from any coastline last time you checked. So, as you open your eyes and sit up, there's a thunderstorm going on. The rain is whipping your clothes and hair, feels needle sharp and stings your eyes. Behind you is an ocean as far as you can see, and you can barely make out under the water a forest of crimson and violet plants with small fish, crabs, something swimming among them. And before you, you're on a coral reef, and before you is an island with tropical trees drenched in the downpour, tossed by the wind. On the eastern shore, there's a lava flow from a volcano. The reef is about a quarter mile from the shore itself, connected by a rocky path that varies from 5 to 10 feet wide. It's elevated about 10 feet above the sea's surface. And just for our listeners' benefit, would you like to each introduce and describe your characters?
So I can go first if you'd like.
Sure.
I am playing Faka Kun, who I envision as being probably a little on the slender side, probably somewhat traditional, I'm guessing robes more, or kind of that type of traditional anime garb, I guess, is
Yeah.
fair game. Um, no armor,
Hmm.
um, probably a coil of rope slung over his shoulder.
Hmm.
Um, I don't see any reference to a pack of any
Nope.
kind.
Well,
So, yeah,
you guys had packs, but they did not make the transition to wherever you are now.
okay. So, yeah, probably just, like a coil of rope, like kind of diagonally from a shoulder to the opposite hip.
Hmm.
Um, and I think, given what I'm seeing in description, that's probably it. I don't, unless I'm just not seeing it, I don't see probably, I would say, though, the coloring is probably a little bit flamboyant, not
Yeah, certainly
noticeable.
her clothing's a little flamboyant. What is unusual about her, though, is she is a Djala, which is a ethnic group that is very short. They come from the desert, and they have chalk white skin with black spots.
Okay.
Um, yeah. If you you click on the bio and info tab, you should see an image and a little bit
Let
of,
me
yeah, in
which
roll 20.
tab? Yeah, I'm just trying to find that tab. I'm not that experienced with Roll20.
Okay,
If you click
you see
on the, oh,
where
I'm
the
sorry.
character sheet, okay, right under the name, you'll see character sheet, bio and info, attributes and abilities.
All right, let me
It's
hang on.
above the actual character sheet itself.
Ah,
Um,
okay, there we go.
yeah,
I was scrolled down.
hit bio and info.
Ah, yes, okay. Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, so
so
I'm kind
so
of
you're
like
actually
a
quite right on how she's dressed. Traditional, uh, sort of flowing garb.
almost look like a small Dalmatian makeup circus clown in a weird way.
Yes, yes, but it's just how her, ethnic group appears. Alright,
Okay, so yeah, red robes. Like I said, I kind of envision, the coil of rope diagonally across the body.
mhm,
Okay.
and, Mike, if you wanna describe EA?
Yay, he is a tall, thin, good-looking man. He has long black hair, and he wears a heavy clothing that is like a oilskin and whale hide. He has a harpoon that's like a spear,
Mhm,
and he's used to being by the seaside and in the cold because he also has like a garb that is like fur.
mhm,
His background is that he grew up as an apprentice witch, and when his teacher passed away, he took on the responsibilities of her of taking care of the land.
Okay. And KD, can you describe Mirror Flag's appearance?
Sure. So, Mirror Flag is wearing mostly black and
Mhm.
gold. They are a sort of medium-sized, very fluidly graceful feminine figure who, despite waking up with no prior knowledge on this coral bed, still sort of stands up with sort of grace, flicking droplets of water off of their sort of blue-purple, sort of iridescent cape that covers like sort of a gold armor that covers the face and the arms and shoulders. And then there's also a belt full of juggling knives and a small scabbard for a sword.
Okay.
I also have a literal mirror mask that I can put over my regular mask, which is very striking. Both of them, I would say. The mirror mask seems to have like a small little hole for my mouth where I seem to have impeccably made lipstick on there, regardless of whether I can see it.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I carry myself very fluidly, very gracefully, and that's yeah, basically mirror flag. It's hard to tell any actual true things about what they really look like underneath all the armor and the mask.
That's about right. So, what are you guys going to do now?
Just want to clarify something. We did not know each other previously until we met in this very small town. Is that right?
Right. But your mask and their faces have all appeared in each other's dreams
Ah,
over the
okay.
past weeks.
Well, I think there lies only one path before us.
I'm not terribly keen on waking up without any memory of where I am, darlings. That hasn't happened since the last eclipse party.
Well,
But I suppose, as you say, one path lies before us. We may as well try and make good with the locals.
I think it would I think it would be best to familiarize ourselves with this area and everything that goes along with it before venturing out. I think it would be foolish.
Um,
well, that
yes.
or staying out here on the reef might not last so long if the tide would come in.
Well, why don't the two of you hold back a bit, and I'll just go ahead and, you know, sort of stealthily make my way inwards and see if I can learn a bit more about where we're located and the people who live here,
Hmm?
and see if perhaps a traveling circus trio might play well. Mm.
Fair enough. I'll let you get a little bit ahead, but do want to get off this reef and the path fairly soon, I do believe.
All right. So we just set out how far ahead is Mirror Flag going to be from the other two, KD?
Uh, I'm gonna say within shouting distance, you know.
Okay.
And so like I can make like some sort of weird little bird call that we maybe I would agree beforehand is like the symbol for like wait or hide and something like that, or another bird call that's like, danger or run. Uh, it's a little sort of shorthand that doesn't hopefully sound too differently than the birds that are actually here on this island that we've never been to.
Oh,
Uh,
that one of the weird things there's no there's no sounds of birds or anything like that.
ah, okay. Interesting. It's just sort of the sounds of the storm, then, I
Mhm.
gather. This very thrashing storm that's sort
Yeah.
of hitting everything. Okay. All right. Well, I think I'd probably try and lead the way. It's short distance, and I do have a skill. Let me find that.
All right.
I,
One
I don't
second.
know if I,
What's up,
yes.
Mike?
Yeah, I had a question. I have a skill that's permanent. So is that a constant effect
Yes.
that I never have to use?
Correct. You will never have to use it. I will tell you when it activates.
Okay. So I don't
Mhm.
have to say I want to see if this skill would work in the situation. You'll just go ahead and tell me.
Correct. I know exactly which one you're talking about, and when it becomes relevant, I will let you know.
Okay, sounds good.
So uh, back to you, KD.
Sure. So, I'm going to go ahead and try and I think I don't know if it's using this too early, but there is an option for keen hearing and touch technique that for
Mhm.
3 months allows me to heighten my sense of hearing and touch, allows me to listen to conversations through thick stone walls, hear creatures
Yeah.
burrowing beneath my feet, clicking
Mhm.
in trees, etc. And I think since this is, even if it is too soon, it feels like in character that she would want to use this, and she's kind of at sea here.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I'm going to spend the 3 motes to try and hear as much as I can, feel as much as I can, know who's near me, who's around me, what's even the creatures bearing under me if there are such things.
Um,
Especially when I don't hear birds.
yeah, you wouldn't hear a whole lot of creatures like on a coral reef, but you'd expect to hear like the scuttling of crabs or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, they you don't really hear. You don't. It is unnaturally quiet except for the waves and the rain.
So,
It's almost as if like you know how in maybe a movie you would only hear they'd only put in the soundtrack the most important sounds to convey the mood of the scene.
hmm.
That's what this sounds like. Is it's just the waves and the storm.
It's just
Gotcha.
an eerie calm.
Yes, it is otherwise very eerie.
Is there any
Um,
foliage on this sort of tropical volcanic island with the coral reef?
not on the coral reef itself, of course, but on the island, yes, there are trees
Mhm.
being drenched in the downpour and
Mhm.
tossed by the wind, and you can hear that. You can hear trees moving with your acute senses.
Obviously, I would imagine the volcano and the storm is making it, grabs my attention. But
Hmm.
do I get the sense of after we slowly move off of the coral reef, of
Hmm.
habitation or roads or any like sort of sense of where there might be people? Mm.
No, you don't. But when you do get halfway down the path, you start you see something odd. It's first a pair of embers, flames, eyes, something floating in the air, and then the wind pulls billows of smoke and ember out of those two eyes and shapes it into the body of a creature, which you soon recognize as a wolf.
Hmm. So a sort of wolf with sort of okay, I see. Mm.
Hmm. Yeah, a wolf with flames for eyes and a body composed of smoke and fire.
Interesting. So
And
I'm
it
going to
says nothing, it's holding unnaturally still and staring at you.
all right. One moment. I There was something on my character sheet about being able. Here it is. Humble servant approach.
Hmm.
Um, for one mode, mere flag may enhance the read intentions action to what a target wants from her, applying a -2 penalty to target's guile. In order to use this charm, she must already succeed another read intentions roll. Oh well, never mind. That doesn't apply because I haven't spoken to anyone else.
Yeah.
There was something about me being something of a diplomat to other non-human creatures, though. Yes.
Hmm. Yes, spirits, sorry, demons, fair folk, and other enemies of creation cannot attack you unless you initiate hostilities.
Do I get the vibe that this glowing ember-eyed wolf is one of those types of things?
You're certain it's a spirit of some kind. Identifying it as a demon or a fair folk would take more interaction and more to know, getting to know uh, more evidence than you've had so far. Right now, it's just staring at you.
Okay, I would kind of just call back to my fellows, like I'm making the acquaintance of someone who may be dangerous. If you hear me start,
They can see him too.
oh, okay, it's
Mhm.
that very large wolf then, or at least
Yes,
okay,
yes.
So I'm
got
gonna
it.
walk forward up to the wolf and say, "Gentle spirit of fire of the earth, I ask you what you bring forth to us."
So you're gonna shoot past Mirror Flag.
I'm gonna kind of stand like side by side.
Oh, okay. All right. So you're
I
both
feel like if
approaching
I
Wolf
go
and Wolf.
ahead of him,
Hmm.
that the creature might see it as a hostility.
Okay. So the two of you are going to go up side by side.
So I'll
Mm,
actually
Correct.
flank to the opposite side.
Hmm. Yeah. I
Yes.
mean, the pathway is only 10 feet wide, but you could definitely
Well,
do
then,
your
yeah,
best to make sure you've got a clear throw if you need to throw knives at this thing.
yeah. Like, I'm not trying to get out when I say flank, just, like 3
Hmm.
abreast, not
mhm.
flanking out in a more tactical sense.
Yeah. So as you approach this wolf spirit, it growls menacingly and says, Turn back. This place is not for you.
None of us exactly volunteered to be here, darling. We woke up here with no memory of how we got here. Might you explain what this place is?
And quite frankly, there's nowhere but here to go.
The land is for everybody.
Turn back. And then it starts to dissipate in the wind, back into smoke, until it's only the two eyes. Then they wink out.
Ominous warnings. Lovely.
Well, if I was intimidated so easily, I would back off, but you only live once, and I am kind of curious on to see where this leads us.
Do not like such omens, but I also see no other choice.
So as you get to the end of the path and step onto the island proper, um, EA starts hearing crackles as if ice is breaking, and Mirror Flag hears the tuning of several instruments.
Oh. Hmm.
Faka Kun hears rain,
Just
just
rain.
rain.
And so, yeah, I'm just blissfully kind of looking around and, well, not, miserably, maybe, because don't particularly a rain running off my head and all that fun stuff.
Faka, a moment. I believe I hear some spirits nearby.
This land has some unsettled spirits. I can hear them.
I don't hear anything, but
I'm going to point out that both Mirror Flag and EA have a charm called Spirit Detecting Glance.
Okay. I will go ahead and commit 3 of my motes to see them.
All right. You use 3 motes, and you will see.
I will be doing that too.
Okay. You both see what appears to be a woman dressed in blue with a spear by her side, not held in a threatening manner. Just, she has one. She's not pointing it at you, so to speak. Her hair looks more like a waterfall than hair. And after a moment, you recognize that her spear is a barbed fishing spear. And then she starts to materialize, and Faka Kun will also be able to see her. And she bows and says, "Welcome, chosen of the sun. I did not expect to see any of you here. How may I help you?"
I take my harpoon and lay it before my feet as a sign of honor and respect because she has a similar weapon, and I bow before her and say, "Hello, spirit. How may we be of service to you?"
She says, "I am the warden of this place. I what what brings you to this place?"
we have been summoned, it would seem.
We are not sure what brings us here. We have been brought here and awakened without any recollection of how or why we came here.
Since she's already talked to the other 2, can I go ahead and well, no, I'll save that one for later.
Mhm.
But I will go ahead and perhaps try and do motive discerning technique to read her intentions. See if there's any sort of, or if you would suggest something else. I've never played this system, to see if she's perhaps going to be lying to me when I speak with her or we speak with her.
Um,
Something to kind of determine her guile.
at Okay. That is a perception and socialize roll.
Okay, can do. Let's see here. So I see on the sheet there is
Mhm,
perception, and
mhm.
then do I add my socialize,
No,
which is
what you do
before?
is go down to your socialize,
Mhm.
and then where it says
Oh, I
dex,
see. Yes,
hit
I see now.
perception,
Perception.
and
Understood.
then roll it,
And no doubles beyond tens, I don't think.
right?
Right.
5 successes. You get that right now her dominant motive is curiosity and concern
Okay.
for what you all might be doing.
Well, hello. You seem to have expected us, which means you have the advantage of us in that regard. There was a rather large and red-eyed wolf that didn't care for us to be here. What is this place, and why might he have warned us to not continue going forward? And who are you, by chance?
Ah, well, to take your questions not quite in the order that you asked them, I was once a river goddess, but now am the warden of this place. This place is a prison for a dreaming demon anchored ages ago by your predecessors. And that wolf thing is a facet of the demon, bound against itself to prevent anyone from trying to free it. I presume it did not attack because you, O chosen of the sun, are who you are, an eclipse cast.
Fascinating. We've been having some unusual dreams that led us here, I think. We were initially going into a cave, and then we woke in here with no memory.
That's odd, but I assume you can depart whenever you will, which raised the question to me of what your plans are and whether I could accommodate them.
I have a question. My question is you weren't expecting us, but you know of us. So if you know of us, what did you know?
She looks oddly at you and says, "You bear the marks of the sun upon your foreheads, O chosen. I could not fail to recognize a prince of the earth." And then, Steve, I believe you were also going to ask her a question.
Well, actually, more to you.
Hmm.
So these dreams and stuff that we'd had that seemed to all be linked,
Hmm.
was there anything like what she's saying about a demon being imprisoned here and all this? Is there anything that in those dreams, or at least in Faka's dreams, that ties into that, or was it just one of those weird image collage type dreams?
It was a weird image collage, although you do remember that at some points there were images of billowing smoke streaked through with fire that might you really aren't sure exactly what that part of the dreams means, but it did kind of look like what the wolf was made out of.
Okay. So also in context of the game and setting,
Hmm.
would it be a logical supposition for a character to think that perhaps we're here to shore up something in this prison then, or is that just me
Okay.
implying kind of common tropes on top of this?
Well, when she says your predecessors, what she means is the people who held your exaltation prior to you. Because the exaltation is a separate thing and it is granted to individual humans. And then when you die, it gets snatched up by the unconquered sun and handed to a new champion. You have no way of telling whether the dreams were something from the demon or something from your past lives calling you here. You have no way of telling that.
Okay.
But those would be the two most likely explanations that you would come to, knowing what what your character's likely to know about the setting.
Okay. So it would seem to me that either we're here because something is weakening and it needs to be reinforced, or the very demon itself has called us in the hopes that we'll somehow release it or weaken its prison further. I, for one, have no desire to free anything imprisoned by my predecessors. I don't believe, at least not a demon, for sure.
I agree, but we have to make sure that the prison remains intact for the sake of all.
Well, I have a bit of diplomatic immunity when it comes to partaking of conversation and parley with demons. We may as well understand the nature of this demon before we try and fully imprison it.
Well, also, now that I think of it, given that it didn't want us here, I likely don't think it called us.
Our new friend here, the river goddess, mentioned something about it being compelled to protect its imprisonment against its own will. So,
Indeed, Suma says, I don't understand what the dreams come from. I've never heard of that before. But I think that if the prison were to weaken, then I think the demon would find the crack immediately. Since the demon is imprisoned in its own dreams, it would rapidly find the crack and rip it apart. I honestly think that perhaps this was just a memory of your former selves, and it might just be best for everyone if you were to go ahead and return to where you came from now that you see that the prison is secure.
My concern is that the prison isn't secure. Maybe there is a crack, and the demon called us here under false pretenses, so that way we can free him. And his warning was knowing that our bound to honor to our mark would prevent us from leaving, and he's counting on that. And maybe he has a grandmaster plan that will trick us into freeing him. I don't think we should leave, and maybe you are part of this trick because you would not want us to leave if we were going to potentially stop this demon, would you?
I see. You're indeed wise to be wary of demonic tricks within this land. I can only assure you that my only intention is to ensure that no one interferes with the bindings of this demon. However, I am but a goddess, and you are the chosen of the sun, and therefore I assume that you are much greater experts in this subject than I am. So, please, if you would like to inspect the prison sorcerously, I feel free, and I will certainly not interfere. I know better than to challenge three chosen of the sun.
And now I am going to grab my spear off the ground and stab it into the ground and like hold it like a walking stick as kind of like a statement of I am here and I am going to do what needs to be done.
So she is looking at you all expectantly, like, okay, you're in charge.
Quick question about our environs there. I noticed there's that bubbling volcano and there's quite a bit of a storm going on here. Um, then you appear to be of the water, and the wolf had eyes that burned like embers, quite literally. Is that sort of reflective of what we're dealing with here, or is it just a happy coincidence?
Um, she looks a little bit confused and says, "Well, the demon is Seske, the nightmare cloud, and who may appear as a wolf in a lesser. The wolf is a lesser emanation of his. Um, there are other emanations, of course, and this entire place is a prison composed of the demon. So it's hard to say the um, but as to why I myself was chosen, well, I presume that your predecessors had reasons.
Oh, I might dare to venture that if this demon is the nightmare cloud, its very ability to reach into dreams might indicate that a crack is indeed present.
Yes, I understand your reasoning. I am simply not technically, I am not sorcerously versed. I would be delighted to aid you in any way that you can, in any way that you desire. You do know how to reinforce the prison, don't you?
As a warden of the land, have
Uh
you
huh.
noticed any new or peculiar things emanating or transpiring on this island within the past weeks or months?
Not in the past centuries. All is as it was when your illustrious predecessors prepared this place for us, for it.
Well, I think that we should be on our way then, because this is, in my opinion, we have gathered all the information we need from you, and this is a matter for us exalted ones.
Oh, I agree. Where would you like to go?
Your island, dear. Why don't you give us the grand tour? Unless someone else had another idea.
I figured we'd go on our own merry way without him. There's no concern of hers anymore, unless you guys would like a tour from her.
Well, I just don't want to be caught unawares, thrashing about blindly.
Local knowledge certainly wouldn't be.
I would be, of course, happy to accompany you.
A good actress never goes on scene without knowing the stage directions, of course.
So, as a prison, is this a prison for one?
Yes, Seske. the Nightmare Cloud.
So Sesuke should be the only one here. Therefore, we should not need any escorts because if there's anything else here, you would not know about it because you said nothing has changed.
She just sort of looks at you, kind of confused. Well, if that is your desire, and she shrugs.
I look at my companions for what they feel like they want to do.
If this is a prison, where's the prisoner being kept? Is what I would like to know.
Prisoner is the prison.
So this entire island, volcano, reef, frankly, awful weather. That is the prison. This is the prison, and it's sort of metaphorically in the island.
It's not metaphorical at all. It's
That's right.
this island is the form. It is what this island is the dream of the demon of the Nightmare Cloud, in which it is imprisoned.
Very well.
It may only act through emanations. There's only one way to get the demon to fully manifest itself, and that would involve weakening the prison dramatically.
Right. Well, me and the
Oh,
rest.
but do we want the demon to show himself? We just want to find the crack and seal it.
As I said, I am not an expert in creating these things. I merely watch and guard.
Mm.
And there is one other here.
Yes. Well, who else is that?
It is an elemental of fire, and like many such creatures, it is flighty, it is foolish, and it, I believe, has been listening to the demon overmuch.
And does this flighty, foolish fire element have name?
Teo, he is a firebird.
And is there anybody else you failed to leave out when I asked you if there's anyone here other than the Nightmare Cloud? You said no. Now you added somebody extra.
Oh, he is not a prisoner here. I believe he stumbled in here by mistake.
I did not ask if he was a prisoner. I asked if there were others here, and I asked if there was anything that had changed, and you said nothing has changed. So wouldn't
Yes,
his
nothing
presence
has changed. Teo has been here for centuries.
Right. Well, one other little question I suppose I should ask. Once we've finished scouring every single inch of this dreadfully weathered island to see if there's any weaknesses and if any silly little firebirds have caused any problems, would you be able to get us home?
Not at all. That is not. No, I am not capable of removing anyone or anything from this prison. No.
When we first encountered you, you asked us to leave. How would we
Yes.
leave them?
What do you mean? How would you leave?
It's a fairly straightforward question.
You're solars. You have great solar magic. I assumed that you knew.
I don't know
Uh,
about these two, but I just woke up here.
Yes, perhaps you missed the part where I mentioned that we arrived here with no memory of how we got here.
Well, you don't know how to get out.
No.
That does change things, rather. Huh. This is quite problematic.
On that, we would have to agree. Yes.
Well, problematic for us at least. I don't know that it's a problem for you other than, well, more mouths to feed, I suppose.
Oh, great Prince of the Earth. I would like to make an observation, and I would hope that none of you would take it as a personal affront. Um, you are solars. You're not going to consent to being imprisoned here along with the demon. I think that's something we can all agree on.
Well, yes, I'm sure my destiny lies somewhere else, but
Uh-huh.
I would
And
simply perish without a crowd.
I and if you can't leave right now, then you're going to try to find a way to leave. And that's going to be a problem. I would like to get you out of here so that you can an imprisoned solar is not it's not safe. You break bindings. That's part of what you do as your by your very nature. That's a problem. There are there is a way to remove yourself. It is dangerous. But This prison is anchored by 3 treasures. If you gather the treasures together, that will allow you to escape.
And what are these treasures?
A bow, a lyre, a musical instrument, and a tapestry. I know where they are and can show you to one of them. Well, 2 of them, really, or at least most of the way to the second one. It will become clear later.
You've had centuries, and you haven't been able to locate all 3 of these treasures.
It is not my job to locate these treasures. And one of them is up the volcano, where a river goddess is. It's a bit inhospitable for a river
Okay.
goddess. I know it's
Fair.
up the volcano, but I couldn't tell you exactly where it is.
Fair enough, darling.
And I don't go into the caves, for there is another emanation of the demon within, and I do not wish to meet it.
What is the one item you do not know?
I know one is up the volcano, one is in the caves, the other is at the bottom of the sea, and that one is the one I can lead you to.
Before I ask her to lead us forward, I think I would like to go ahead and just sort of make sure this isn't a trap.
Mm-hmm.
Discern her intentions. And so reading intentions, to roll for that, is that another socialized roll or?
Yeah, perception socialize.
All right.
And you care to give me an idea as to how you're reading her intentions or what
Well,
you're
I am of the stage. Body language is always so important in communicating, especially to the cheap seats. So, I would most certainly be watching how she not does her body match her mouth? Does her words match her eyes? Does she seem appropriately afraid? Is she hedging? Is she hiding something? Does she touch her hair or blink in such a way that seems a little suspicious?
Okay, excellent. So go ahead and roll perception socialize. Give yourself 2 bonus dice because you stunted.
Oh, I'm suspicious of her.
Wonderful.
Okay.
2 bonus dice. Lovely. All right. 2. Submit 10s. And let's see how it goes. Ha! Wow. Okay.
I mean, you can have all the dice in the world, but if you roll that, like, you cannot read her.
All
Oh
this blasted rain. It's getting in my mask. It's very unpleasant.
no, you're pretty confident that she is telling the truth as she knows it.
All right.
So, question as far as potential character knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Would gathering these items together potentially weaken the prison? Or is that just us creating a doorway for us?
You have no earthly clue.
Okay, that's where like I said, I know Faka is also not the most intellectual type, so
Yeah, she's not stupid, but she is not formally educated in the occult.
I
right.
do have some skill in the occult. Could I try and roll to see if that could give me some knowledge?
None of you would have any
I
abilities
am
along
the
those lines.
occult. That's
Okay.
Fair enough.
Go ahead. I would say it's a difficulty 5, but go
and
for
what
it.
am I rolling?
That would be intelligence and occult. Yeah, intelligence and occult.
I'm just looking for it. And that's weird. My sheet has none of my
So if you go
modifiers.
under it, if you go to abilities, you should see occult.
No,
and then you
no,
can-
I see it, but nothing's checked anymore, and there are no numbers in there in like anything anymore.
Whoa. What do you mean there's no numbers in there anymore?
I'll take a screenshot and show you
Stop.
in the.
Your yay, select a move. I'm looking at your character sheet. You've got 5 dots in occult.
Let me show you. So hold on, let me see how I can.
Are you connected? That's the other question. Hey, Steve, I'm adding a couple of things to your character sheet.
Okay, I wondered why it keeps jumping around. I was like,
Yep.
what's going on? So while we're sorting his connection,
Mhm.
I'm going to turn to kind of the other 2. So, look, you 2 appear much more versed in these rituals and magics than I. Might it be possible that if we gather these items, it could cause a further crack in the prison, or Are we simply creating a doorway for ourselves?
I would certainly hope the latter, not the former.
What's up, Mike?
You told me to change it to intelligence for the occult.
Yeah. Hmm.
But I'll defer to our expert.
Can I use a one will to make an automatic success?
Yes.
So I put a 1 in that input value?
No, you would put that in the automatic successes.
That's what I'm saying. I put a 1?
Yep. Hmm.
Okay. Okay, it made a noise, but I'm not sure it did anything.
Oh, I saw it. 6 successes.
Yeah, it shows 6 successes if you go in the chat function of.
You're fairly sure that something like this, with 3 anchors widely distributed, bringing those 3 anchors together has a great risk and would be the start of any attempt to break the prison.
Okay, so I am going to tell her to hold on 1 minute, and I am going to call my comrades over and speak to them privately. So are you guys going to come up to me?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to be about maybe 20, 30 feet away from her, and I'm going to tell them about my past with the occult and the fact that there are 3 anchors to this prison, and they would not have created these anchors for anyone other than the demon. So the fact that there are anchors here, I feel like any tampering with them could cause catastrophic effects not only to the world but to this prison, and I do not think that we should go forward. Whether we get stuck here or not and perish, there are bigger and more important things at hand, and we'll just have to find another way to escape this place. And I'm going to
Well,
express my distrust of this lady.
I hear what you're saying. I do think, though, well, quite frankly, I don't want to stay here. I've far more important things to do elsewhere, and I don't want to let the demon out, but I certainly have no desire whatsoever to stay here.
I have no desire to stay here either, but I also understand the bigger picture of us trying to get out of here by this means. This means could be a catastrophe to the greater good than us.
Both reasonable points of view. I would suggest that perhaps we've been given a part to play here. We can determine where these things are and the dangers of acquiring them, and then, but not bring them all together until I think we've fully understood how to play the hand we've been dealt.
I can agree with that.
Sounds reasonable.
So I am going to turn around and approach the warden. I am not going to say anything. I am just going to approach her with the party because I have nothing further to say to her.
Why don't you lead the way to the first of these items in the sea, if you wouldn't mind, dear?
So, yeah, she will lead you towards the east to the edge of the island. And she explains as you walk that the ocean is not a real ocean. It's the dream of an ocean. Among other things, that means that you can breathe the water and it doesn't drag on you like real water would. She says it's more like walking through billowing cloth than walking through real water.
Hmm.
Um, and out of character, I'm saying that means there are no rules differences for fighting quote unquote underwater in this case. And it's not thick enough to support swimming, but it gives you some buoyancy. So,
Kind of like a low G ish.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She brings you to the shore and explains that you need to pass through a dense kelp forest, and then you'll find a trench, an abyssal trench. You can climb down it or jump down it. It's up to you. And you will see when you get there the ruins of a greened bronze temple. And within that is an armory. In that armory, you will find the bow.
Any arrows accompanying that bow?
No, it's just the bow.
Well, just want to make certain, some people get awfully fussy if you give them a bow and then don't get them arrows.
She says the bow itself is one of the anchors.
Well, I, for one, cannot wait to walk through the sea as if I were a mermaid. Shall we?
She says, I can accompany you to the edge of the trench if you desire.
I do not desire.
I'm certain you've got many more important things to do. We'll just keep our own company for the next bit then.
And she nods, and you guys set off through the forest of kelp. A time passes strangely. You know, as it is very much dream time. You'll seem to take forever to walk past a certain plant, but then you'll find yourself a half mile away in a moment. It's erratic. And even though, as chosen of the sun, you have an inherent sense of where the sun is in the sky and thus what time it is, and you're really good at telling how long time has passed, you find that sense is completely useless in this environment. You're not sure how long it takes, but there you are at the edge of an abyssal trench, deep, at least a mile to the floor.
Before we start launching ourselves down this trench, I did want to make a suggestion that we try to track down this firebird. I believe Tail was the name. Seems like another bit of information from the only other supposed creature on this island might be of use to us.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Anyone with at least one dot of occult knows you are not going to find a firebird even at the bottom of a dream of a sea.
Oh, sure. No, I'm not saying now. I know we're under the ocean, but like later.
Now that we are away from that warden, if this is a dream and we don't recall anything, and this isn't to the GM, I'm talking to my party, and we don't recall anything, who's to say that we're not unconscious now inside the demon's dream? I'm just saying is maybe that's just something to think about. Maybe that's why we can't remember, is because we're right now we really are unconscious, part of the demon's dream. Because how are we physically here in the demon's dream?
Oh, I think quite honestly, I think we've been sucked into the demon's dream as a way of it attempting to somehow break itself free of its prison.
But
But
I'm saying, are we physically here, or is this just our conscious? I'm saying for the means of escaping.
I reach over and just pinch you.
Do I feel that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, maybe not. I don't know.
No, it's a fine line of inquiry. I respect your keen perception on that matter, and I would agree. It's likely that we might be just drowsing in that cave we went to. But, it's of no real difference ultimately if we are the dream or the dream, because either way we are stuck here. We're either going to be vegetables inside of a cave, or we're going to be stuck on this rather, frankly, less than pleasant tropical island. I've heard of tropical islands before. They seem to be a lot nicer than this one. If we don't, figure out some sort of means of egress.
I'm just saying we might not need a physical means of escape. There might be another way if we are actually dreaming.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't care to test the theory of dying wakes you up, and dying in the dream wakes you up, though. But good idea. We'll perhaps look into that.
No, I do believe my destiny lies elsewhere other than this weird deserted rainforest of an island.
Oh, I concur. I'm more of a people person, and there's hardly any people here. Well, shall we make our way down?
Yeah, so having moved through some of this sea, you said it feels almost like a low G.
To a certain extent, yeah.
Steve's brain says that launching yourself off a mile-high cliff is still not a good idea. But is that Steve's brain taking over beyond what would feel appropriate in the circumstance?
Honestly, it seems like this place runs, as far as physics go, this place runs on like dream logic. And you don't feel like it would be too unsafe to jump off, just feeling the way things are.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be faster than trying to climb.
So is there what I'm thinking is something like the pirate riding a knife down a sail type tactic.
Okay.
Is
So
it like
kind of
something I could
breaking yourself on the wall of the cliff?
Yeah, like even with my knives or, just kind of like materialize the knives out of, the folds of the robe and just sort of step
Hmm.
over and kind of rake down,
And kind of slow your descent that way.
control
That's
it that way.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're looking at it and you think that would work. The sides of the trench aren't like solid rock. It's a lot of sand and dirt and you know. Yes, there's some rock, but even then it's dream rock.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
well,
your knife might slit it somewhat either way.
well, don't know about you folk, but climbing this is going to take an awfully long time. I suggest well, slightly more expeditious but somewhat controlled approach, and describe to you guys what I just described.
Mhm. Alright. So, Faka Kun starts skidding down the cliff at a controlled manner. What are the rest of y'all doing?
Yay.
Well, I was a little busy. I was just looking at my powers to see if I had anything. Um, I want to observe, like, are there any vines? Since you said we were going through a forest, like, I just want to
A
observe anything
kelp
that I might
forest?
be able to use.
Um, you probably could, not really. It's certainly there's no vines that would allow you to descend a mile.
Okay, well then I guess I am going to follow suit with Steve and
Mhm.
take a plunge and ride on down the side of the mountain like he did.
Your descent seems to take quite some time, subjectively speaking. Again, you're not sure. Keeping time is hard. But eventually you will end at the bottom near the shattered ruins of a greened bronze temple, surrounded by thermal vents that light up the ocean floor with an orange glow even as they pump sulfuric smoke upwards. Columns of rock rise around the temple, carved with pre-human language and a demon's tongue. Some fall into the ocean floor or precariously balanced against each other. Place is a little bit of a maze, but you know that within this temple is probably the armory that Sumo was talking about.
Okay, so I was gonna ask if I needed to do if we do a stealthy thing, get down there stealthily, but it seems like that's not needed. Seems like nobody noticed when my two compatriots sort of just
Nope,
landed pirate style. All right. Mm.
correct. And
Oh,
then, although once you get down, you do notice there is something. There's there's something down there, just out of sight. A massive bulk, tentacles and hooks and steam. Seems like it's too big to be seen at once, and it doesn't seem to have noticed you.
can I do put up a finger to my compatriots as to motion to hold and then do a little bit of a stealthy reconnaissance? If that's keen with everybody.
Certainly.
All
Go
right.
find a boulder to kind of nestle up against and
I was actually thinking maybe crawling like a crab since we're all sort of having this underwater low G thing to get like from a high place to kind of get a better view of the area or like off of a column or something.
Okay.
So that would just be Dex plus stealth, yeah?
Hmm.
All right. Here we go. 2.
Oh, well, you're not sure, but you don't think anything's noticed you.
Okay, what do I see as I sort of try and stealthily like crawling on the ceiling, disturbing, Japanese horror style with my
Uh,
knives? Do I notice anything? Mm.
um, like in the temple,
Yeah,
or
as I'm sort of slowly
oh,
entering the
the
temple to.
temple is basically has one large circular chamber in the middle,
Mhm.
and what you can see are 7 plinths with racks on them, each holding a single weapon.
Mm. One of them I assume is a bow.
Indeed, the others are there are 6 others, all of them large, oversized, obviously magical weapons.
Okay. Um, I would like to just sort of there doesn't appear to be any living beings here then. Mm.
Nope.
There was some talk of tentacles, so I'm just being a little careful. Um, all right. Well. I would sort of make my way to the edge of the entrance and sort of from on the ceiling, like this sort of fun little hanging upside down, like by my knees kind of acrobat thing.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of weapons in there, big magical ones on plinths. It's sort of weirdly unoccupied, silent, so I suspect traps. If you are keen on me doing so, I might just try and fall from the ceiling and land next to the bow and pick it up and see what happens.
Fair enough. I could most likely accompany you if EA would like to kind of watch our back.
I'll stand back and watch your six.
Just try to make sure not to step on any, I don't know, strange looking parts of the floor, that sort of thing. And I'll see what I can do. And I think I would then like again like sort of scutter like a crab, like climb like a crab with my knives across the ceiling again, and very cat burglary, and as if I were being filmed, like for a in
Hmm.
the Catherine Zeta-Jones and Entrapment. Even though there is no audience, I just have to do everything as a performance. I would try and let myself fall onto the
Hmm.
plinth with the bow and pick it up. And could I roll with performance possibly?
I don't know who's here for you to impress.
Oh well, the others can see me from the entrance. Yeah.
Yeah, I can say that you managed to do that impressively enough that they appreciate your performance, but there's no challenge to it.
Okay.
Um, so
Superhero landing.
you land on the plinth.
Hmm.
The bow is massive, like
Mm.
easily the size of any of you. It
Ah,
is of blue and green jade, strung with a star metal wire. It's heavy, of course, like all these large artifact weapons are. And there is a bronze plaque on the plinth that says simply Glossata. I'll type that out in the chat channel.
thank you.
And touching it, I mean, it's a it's a weapon. It's not really doing anything.
Hmm. Is it when you say it's massive? Is it like the size of me?
Larger.
Larger. Okay.
Wait, no. Yeah, your mirror flag. Yeah, about the size of you.
Okay. I have an insane idea.
Hmm.
Maybe this can be done. Maybe it can't. Um, could I tie my cloak around the front of the bow,
Hmm.
push my hands against one part of the bow and my feet against the other to make myself into an arrow, and then launch myself and thereby drag the bow with me across this place without it hitting the floor.
No,
Hmm.
the bow is strung so tightly that you cannot make it move. It will
Okay.
cut into your feet before it moves.
Hey, you miss all the
Um,
shots you don't take. No worries.
the Yeah, something you might realize is that artifact weapons that aren't attuned are unusable. You cannot use them in combat.
Okay.
You Because they are too heavy and they don't like being used.
Hmm. I would sort of call down the maze of this place and make. So I found the bow. Small problem. It's larger than I am, and I cannot lift it.
What You can lift it. You can
Oh,
lift it and carry it. It's just
I see.
heavy.
Okay, got it. Okay, so I scratch that last part then.
Mhm,
Um, okay, so I can lift it. I can carry it. It's just very heavy.
mhm.
Since we are under the sea, could I like throw it over his shoulder and then try and swim my way back up to the ceiling?
Um, no, it doesn't really support swimming.
Okay, fair enough.
Mhm.
All right.
Are you
Well,
interested in any of the other weapons sitting around?
I, I simply must be because I would be remiss to not look at the entire armory.
Let's
What would
see.
I roll for that?
Oh, you don't need to roll to look at a sword.
Okay,
I
got
was
it.
going
Does
to say
anything?
What's up, Steve?
I had kind of envisioned that I was following her along the
Mhm.
ceiling, just to like sort of like the halfway back up. So I'm
Mhm.
envisioning myself kind of up there above still. What are the other weapons?
So in general, 1, 2, 3 swords, a spear, a chakram, and a sky cutter. A sky cutter is a 2-foot wide war boomerang, and the chakram is almost a foot across, a ring of orichalcum and white jade. The sky cutter is white and red jade inlaid with moon silver. Yeah, they are all obviously magical weapons.
I think at this point I might drop down onto the chakram and see what sort of sense I get from that. That feels, well, I know they're very throwy.
Mhm. Yeah. So the chakram, it has a plaque that said that names it Empty Sun, and it seems oddly familiar to Faka Kun,
Mm-hmm.
like she's seen it before. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
feel like it was necessarily hers, but she's familiar with it.
And the remainder of the weapons you said were spears and swords?
There's one spear, 3 swords, and a war boomerang.
Okay, I'll do some very cinematic kicky flips from one
Mhm,
flint to the other, like cartwheel over to the boomerang.
mhm. The boomerang is named Cyanotus with an S.
Does it instill in me any sort of feelings of like akin to what my friend here got with the chakram?
Um, Definitely familiarity. Um, you're familiar. You you feel like you've seen it before.
Hmm.
It's like I said, 2 foot long. It's white and red jade. It's inlaid with moon silver.
Okay. Well, I might just try and take it with me just for because if alternately this is our real bodies in the real world, we're not just dreaming, it might be good to have, and even if it's not, free weapon, why not?
Are you going to attempt to attune it?
To me, yeah, I guess I could give that a shot. It seems very
Yeah, attuning it will cost you 5 motes. They're committed, which means um, you'll see there's a category for committed.
I see.
You don't get they don't regenerate like most of the time. Motes regenerate, and you get them back at the rate of 5 per hour. Which, by the
Mhm.
way, you guys should anybody who used a charm is back up at full.
Oh, okay.
Um, but
Mhm.
these 5 don't regenerate unless you release the attunement on the artifact.
Okay. That's
Um, Sorry, go
and
ahead.
so no, I just wanted to confirm this is sort of a big boomerang. Does it have like a sharp edge or anything like that?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Ah,
It is
fantastic.
a war boomerang. It is, yeah,
Hmm. Okay.
and like I said, it's a white and red jade. It's inlaid with moon silver. Yeah, it takes maybe 5-10 minutes to sit down and attune an artifact. Are you Steve?
Yeah, I was gonna say I would think I'd like to do that to attune with the chakram. Now, I do
Mhm.
notice in my thing there are the motes. I show 5 peripheral motes already committed. Is that
What? Uh,
a leftover or is that
that is a leftover from the last time I ran this game. So those are the 5 you would be committing.
okay?
Yeah.
That's fine.
All right.
So
Cool.
I don't know
And
if you
then, oh, sorry, no, go ahead.
yeah, if you need to add whatever you need to do for that, then or need me to just tell me what to do.
Um, oh, I'll put it on there.
Oh, I
I'm,
see it already. It's still there.
Yep.
I, I may have been reduced the wrong number
Well, it doesn't
here.
have any stats, but
Right. I'll drop the stats on it in a minute.
okay.
Certainly before the next fight. Mike, was EA going to join them?
They asked me to stay back, so I have no idea what's going on because I'm
Okay.
just watching out for anything bad going on.
All right. Cool. Either one of you guys want to call him in and see if he wants one of these weapons?
Yeah, I'll do so. As I was like getting ready to drop down, even though the coast appears to be clear, you might as well come in, EA.
And as soon as I come in, my eyes are fixed on the spear, considering I have a harpoon.
Yeah, the spear is named Great Fang. It's a tremendous two-handed spear with a 6-foot haft of an exotic wood you've never seen before, set with star metal filigree and fitted with a foot-long blade of moon silver at its end. Though the moon silver is solid, it reflects light like the surface of a rippling pond.
Okay, I'm going to take it and attune it like the rest of them.
All right.
And I'm assuming they're gonna tell me everything that happened while I was on Outlook, right?
Yeah.
You didn't miss much. We climbed across the ceiling and we jumped around the pedestals a bit, and that was kind of it.
And then you're gonna tell me about how heavy it is. And I'm gonna suggest that maybe since we're not sure about the intentions and what these occult items might do, if this is so heavy, maybe we should bring the musical lyre and the tapestry to the bow. What do you think?
I like that. I like that quite a bit, actually, because
I
it's
mean,
a bit.
there's no threat here, so leaving this shouldn't be an issue.
That's a good point, actually.
Smart thinking, yes. I
And then
concur. We'll
I'm gonna
just leave
sit
this
down
where
in
it
a
is.
tune.
All right. By the way, I think I may have misused my or typed the wrong numbers into the wrong place here when it came to committing my essence.
I'll take
Uh,
a I'll take a look at it.
thanks.
Good God. What do you mean 5 and 12?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I put the 5 down because I thought that was what I was committing of the 12. That was me. I entered the 5 there, and then yeah, 13, right? That was what I was saying earlier. I don't know how it changed from 13. Maybe because I put the 5 there. Okay, now I know.
Hang on.
Oh, I see. And then in those other 2 boxes where I put how much I've used so far. Okay, got it.
Okay, yeah. So the left is current, right is permanent,
Mhm.
and then committed is there. So, oh, geez. Might help if I put, there we go. Now it's correct.
All right, and I used 6 of my personal motes for some of my.
Like I said, you guys have been screwing
We've had
around
a
with it.
scene to
Yeah.
reset. Okay, super. All right. Cool. Yeah, I'd be very keen on my my cool war boomerang. Oh, I just sort of mutters to myself, shame about the color scheme. Clashes terribly with my outfit, but well, when nothing can be perfect.
Mm. All right. So are you guys going to leave the bow here?
I think that actually sounds like a really good idea.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, because like there's nothing down here that seems actively deadly or whatever yet. So leaving it here to bring the other 2 things to it, like down this deep, deep chasm, feels like really smart tactically. Because there's also the option maybe down the road, you chuck whatever the other 2 are down this chasm and then try and make a run for it if we have to.
Plus, if we're having a hard time carrying it now, how are we going to carry it up a mile chasm?
Yeah, up a volcano, right? And it's easier to do things here
Okay.
in the
When I
water.
say heavy, what I mean is not 100 pounds. I mean, if an ordinary bow is 1 or 2 pounds, however much a ordinary bow might weigh, this is maybe 10 times that. So if an ordinary bow weighed 2 pounds, this would weigh 20.
Oh, okay.
But still, I actually like the idea of leaving a thing in its place where we know where it is, and
Mhm.
then bringing the others to that.
I think it's like smart in case you don't want to have all the items in one spot until we get more of the story and information on what's actually going
Precisely.
on.
Okay.
Yeah, 100% with you guys on that. And we now have an extra weapon for funsies, so that's great. And they're pretty badass from the look of them.
Yes, they are significantly more badass than ordinary weapons. All right, so you guys are going to head back up.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll even.
Here's my question. How long have we been here? Like since we arrived and talked to the warden and traveled. Like, should we rest? Like, how's this
Um,
game going with that?
you can't really tell. Time is passing in a dream way. It is. You can't really tell.
But
It's
are we
not.
tired? Do we need to rest or
No,
something like?
you don't. Doesn't
Okay,
seem.
all right, then we should press on.
Cool. Oh, what's the name of the cool spear? I see you dropped the other cool names in the
Great
chat.
Fang. Great
Great
Fang.
Fang, that's right. Cyanotis the Sky Cutter, Empty Sun the Chakram, and Great Fang the Spear, and Gosata the Powerball. That's
Hmm.
very fun. All right. Cool. All right. So I guess we would make our way back up without incident.
Uh, yeah, you do. And when you get there, Suma is waiting for you, and she looks confused. She says, "Did you not bring the bow?"
Oh, we
Um,
saw it. Hmm.
we accomplished what we wanted to accomplish, and
Okay,
that's all I'm gonna say.
all right. Then
Why don't you point your finger at the caves for us then, please?
she says, "Oh, yes, they're to the west," and she begins leading the way.
Okay, do we observe anything along the way?
Um, the storm is slowly dying down, but it doesn't end. It's just getting less intense.
And her body language and the way she's moving and all that, is she like watching us? Like, is she like looking back, trying to see what we're doing, or is she always just straight ahead?
No, she's definitely checking back more to make sure that you guys are still following her and that you don't get lost in the jungle.
But it doesn't look like a suspicious of trying to keep an eye on us type of glare.
No.
Okay.
Can I go ahead and for 3 motes,
Hmm.
just sort of apply double nines to rate intentions action, and I'm gonna ask her. So, you mentioned this firebird, but and the irritating sign. Imagine you haven't much in the way of company here. Can you tell us more about the firebird and your time on this prison, and then read her
Uh,
intentions?
and she says, "Well, yes, I, I can give you some information. We're not exactly friends, um, because I believe he has been deeply compromised by the demon. He was brought in. Um, he was scooped up in this prison when it was formed, about the same time I was. I presume by accident or something. And it's gotten, uh, and it's become, I think, mad as a result of the imprisonment. Never trust anything it says for any reason. It is, um,
Mad as in upset or mad as in going crazy?
yes, mad as in no longer sane.
How terrible. And at that point, I would go ahead and try and read her and see if she's telling us the truth.
Go for it.
And I'll go ahead and make a note that I get doubles on nines and
Hmm.
hit submit.
Okay. 4 successes. You have blown past her guile because her guile is not all that great. Um, she is presenting she's presenting what she believes with significant shading and deliberate bias. She knows that she is simplifying and exaggerating. She's not lying. She's not presenting to you things that she believes are completely untrue, but she is exaggerating what she believes to try to manipulate you
Hmm.
into not trusting the Firebird.
Okay. I'd keep
Question,
that
and
to myself for now, but I think I would perhaps give a significant glance to the other two as we walk.
Uh-huh.
question regarding, again, setting whatever.
Yeah.
Is it, like, in my mind, fire and water would be opposed elements, thus would a water spirit not holding a fire spirit in high regard be relatively common, or is that outside the scope of the knowledge that
Um,
my character or a character would have?
I would say that it would be rivalry is not uncommon, honestly, but I don't know that it would necessarily be automatic because they're all people, and like you could say many water spirits don't get along with many fire spirits, but that's both broad generalizations and kind of stereotyping in the same, so it's not something that your character would believe is certainly true.
Okay.
So I have a outside the box question. My
Sure.
terrestrial circle sorcery.
Mm-hmm.
If I believe that I'm sleeping, can I use that to see if it can help me make sense of more of this, or no?
What would you be wanting to do with your terrestrial circle sorcery?
Well, it says I wanted to see if I could see more haunted spirits visions that plague me. So I was wondering if I could use that to try to get a glimpse of more of what's going on.
Give me a moment here.
I'm not sure if it will work that way.
You've got no. You've got ah.
I might be
Um.
reading wrong on how that works.
Okay. So that would be banking source. Okay. Yeah. Um. No. Those are ways in which you can accumulate sorceress motes, which is something you accumulate in order to cast spells, of which
Okay.
you know two. You could do a sorceress working, but that would take weeks and be very difficult given the lack of resources you have immediately available.
Okay.
All right. So you guys pass through the island and you've had this conversation with the river goddess, and you start approaching the western side of the island. Now, the western side of this island slopes gently upwards until it is abruptly cut by cliffs 500 feet high, as if the island had been torn away from a larger continent. At its westernmost point, there's a narrow path winding down the cliffs. The cliffs are carved with gigantic sculptures. You can make out, in places one arm that's holding a massive scroll or a leg descending into the water. You can't, it's so big that you cannot get a frame of reference to see what it's actually a sculpture of, other than it's probably of some people, maybe. Um, and you can, you get to the mouth of a giant cave 50 feet above the water line. And then the cliffs will continue down far below the surface. And Suma will tell you that there is an emanation of the demon's dream somewhere inside this cavern, but also there is an anchor, uh, one of the treasures, a a loot. All right. And on that note, pizza has just arrived at my house. I would like to take a 15-minute break,
Sounds good.
and then we'll resume.
All
All
right.
right. Sounds good.
All right.
Good.
Be right back.
Intro and outro music by the band 12 Noon. You can email us at meandsteverpg@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter and RPGs. Find us on Facebook at Me and Steve RPG Podcast, on Discord at Me and Steve RPGs, and as always, all of these links are in the show notes. Thank you, and be kind to one another.
How much for the cigar?
Cigar, $20, dog. You gotta go down the street to the store and buy that.